Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Standing in Solidarity. My name is Donna Walker-Kuhn. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm Senior Advisor, Social Impact at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. This evening, we are pleased to explore a very important topic. It's election season, and we feel it's really important not only just to talk about federal elections, but also state and local elections are of equal importance. And we've assembled an incredible panel that will be able to discuss these issues from various perspectives and also encourage us all to make a plan so that we are ready to be able to use our power to help change our communities. So this social justice series is part of our Standing in Solidarity initiative. The purpose of the series is to bring our community together and to encourage everyone to take part in the movement to ensure civil rights for all. On our website, you can find archived prior social justice panel discussions, as well as resources that will help you take action. We're also happy to have as our advisors the Newark NAACP, the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, Newark Arts, our Africana Studies Department at Essex County College, Asian American Arts Alliance, ACLU New Jersey, and our newest advisor, the Newark Office of Film and Television. They all help us to decide what issues that we should talk about, as well as to select our panelists. We are entering our 6th year of Standing in Solidarity. Now, I would like to offer a land acknowledgement. This language was used and was created with consultation and guidance from Chief Dwayne Perry of the Ramapo Lenape Munsee tribe and Oleana Whispering Dove of the Eastern Salagi Algonquin descendants. And we're grateful to them for their generosity, wisdom, and labor to craft these words. NJPAC would like to offer this land acknowledgement with the sincerity of honoring this indigenous communities. We, the Lenape, original benefactors of land once ripened and cultivated with attentiveness to the Creator and her ascendancy, express everlasting gratitude to our Creator for the traditional ancestral jurisdictions of the Munsee, Esopus, Carnacy, Capsea, Werparos, Silanoy, and Weekasqueak, jointly known today as the Ramapo and Natakote Lene Lenape. Let this, our land acknowledgement, be the beginning of our return to unity. Let us be guardians of the water, the air, and the earth, the four-legged, the flyers, the swimmers, the crawlers, the mammal people, and the green. Let us now stand lifting our humanity, enrapturing with Earth's consciousness as guardians of harmony and kindness. I would also like to thank our corporate sponsors. Since 2014, PSE&G Foundation have partnered with NJPAC to pair screenings of socially engaged films with thoughtful talks featuring activists, artists, academics, journalists, and other experts. This year, we have added an additional component to our Standing in Solidarity series, and it's poetry. There will be a poetry reading in partnership with Dodge Poetry for each of our monthly events. Today, we're excited to be able to hear poetry by Jessie Burns, a published writer and the executive director of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey. Welcome, Jessie.
Thank you so much. Thank you to NJPAC and to Dodge for having me this evening. I'm so excited to be wearing my poet hat ahead of all these wonderful panelists that I have the pleasure of working with in my day-to-day life. I'm going to share a poem now. Who we are. We are not meant to scroll through suffering, just one more reel from exhausting hope or igniting rage. We are not meant to pull our curtains closed as neighbors are pulled into windowless vans, unmarked, unremarkable, un-American dreams. We are not meant to stand against alley walls as they sweep hands on our bodies, sweep streets, tear down tents, bash teeth on curbs. We are not meant to scroll past Black bodies swinging from trees, to tend to our tomato plants and hum bird songs. Poverty is political violence. Police brutality is political violence. Forced birth, banned books, fired librarians, destroyed unions, capitalism, AI, erased history. Can't you hear me holding back? What are you holding back? What of your rage and despair have they stolen? What are you holding? Tomorrow, this poem might be erased, this poet replaced, and there is no one coming to save us. Today, I want to graze your hand in the produce section. Sit together in two small classroom chairs without scanning spaces for the places our children will hide. I want to love you without screens, at block parties, in church pews, in town halls, in voting booths. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessie. And now, please help me welcome our moderator for this evening's panel, Maisha Aziz. Maisha, an attorney, is Region 2 Adult Representative, the National Youth Works Committee. She's an advisor for the NJSC NAACP Youth and College, NJSC NAACP Youth Works Chair. She's president of the NAACP Camden County East Adult Branch Social Action Committee Chair, and she's a Delta Sigma Theta sorority member. Welcome, Aisha. We're delighted to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna, for that warm introduction. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, peace and blessings. Thank you for joining us tonight for a nonpartisan conversation that will be timely and timeless. We gather here not just to discuss civic engagement, but to honor the legacy of those who fought for the right to be heard, counted, and represented. Informed citizenship is not a privilege. It is a responsibility. And for communities that have been historically disenfranchised, it is a form of resistance, resilience, and renewal. Tonight's panel is about more than elections. It's about power, how we understand it, how we use it, and how we pass it on. It's about equipping every citizen, especially our youth, with the tools to influence policy, shape narratives, and build a legacy of civic leadership that lasts. We are honored tonight to be joined by a dynamic panel. Let this space of learning be one of reflection and activation, because when we are informed, we are empowered. And when we are empowered, we are unstoppable. I'm now going to acknowledge all of our speakers and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. I am going to first introduce Henal Patel. I call her the leader of the Supreme Dream Team for Civil Rights. Henal, can you introduce yourself, please?
And my video is still disabled, so I'm just going to make a note of that to NJPAC if we can fix that. Hello, everyone. My name is Henal Patel. I am so grateful to be here today with all of you. Hold on. Yep, there we go. Hi, thank you so much. Maisha Aziz, a true rock star. There is, if you ever get the chance, you should ask Maisha Aziz, what is she doing in this moment? And I assure you, it is 7 different things. And I am always in awe of her. I'm grateful for everyone else who's here, the panelists, and just want to take 1 second. If we can just give it up and applaud Jessie Burns and that tremendous poem that she just did for us. I know I was moved, and I hope everyone else was too. Anyway, my name is Henel Patel. I'm the Law and Policy Director at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. We are a racial justice advocacy organization based in Newark, where we do work across the state, really working to tear down the barriers that are formed from racism. So we would do work across 3 different pillars: economic justice, criminal justice reform, and democracy and justice, which I am excited to talk to you about tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Henel. Next up will be Dr. Angela Garrettson. Dr. Angela, if you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be here and invited by NJPAC. Thank you, our amazing panelists. Thank you, and of course, our moderator. My name again is Dr. Angela Garrettson. I am representing tonight NJIT. I work with the senior leadership team there, and I head up our public and community affairs that does extensive outreach to all of our elected officials in the city of Newark and beyond, in our wonderful Essex County. I also got my start by doing work with civic engagement. And I just want to note that it was a program called Student Voices. So my heart and my passion really has always been doing things because of student voices and because of the good Ella Baker. So I'll stop there, and I look forward to this amazing conversation this evening. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of this conversation.
All right, thank you, Angela. That was amazing. And of course, we're with NJPAC, so I feel like she had to throw in Ella Baker. I think they told her that was a requisite. And I mentioned the Supremes for Henel, so we're going along the path of social justice and arts. Now we are going to have the dynamic Danielle Combs, who I've had the pleasure of knowing since she was a college student and the president of her Stockton University chapter of the NAACP. Danielle, you ready to tell everybody about yourself?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Diaz, for that phenomenal introduction. Thank you, NJPAC, for putting together to facilitate this conversation for us here tonight. My name is Danielle Combs. I am currently serving as the Executive Director of the NAACP New Jersey State Conference. We are the largest and oldest, baddest and boldest civil rights organization in the nation. I'm really excited to join this conversation tonight.
Thank you. And it's important that you're here, and it's important that Nathan is here so that we can display to all of the people who have tuned in intergenerational training of civic engagement and civic leadership. All right, Nathan, poet, activist, student leader, tell us all about yourself.
Hello, everybody. My video is still disabled, but
no problem. If everybody wants to see this handsome face, you can go to all his social media. Oh, there we go. All right.
We got it out. We got it out.
All right.
But good evening, everyone. My name is Nathan Duguid. I am the founder and president of the Young Voters Association, an organization whose mission it is to motivate, educate, register, inspire young people to participate in their democracy through voting and beyond. I'm also an opinions columnist with the Daily Targum at Rutgers University, where I also am a sophomore at Rutgers University, Newark, and an honors living learning community scholar. And I'm so happy to be here to give a youth perspective on not just voting, but being involved in our democracy, in our society, and in this push forward to a greater future.
Do you not have any art or poem reference? Everybody said, it's all right. All right. So
we get to that.
We'll get to that. I'm sure you're inspired. There's some music or some song or some poem that inspires you. When I was your age, I had Gil Scott-Heron on repeat. So let's start, everyone. Let's start talking about being an informed citizen. That is the name of tonight's program, Informed Citizenship. A lot of people here have seen me in the community, t-shirts, jeans, and all, trying to register everybody to vote from Camden to Newark and everywhere in between. And so a lot of times people will say, I'm not going to vote. I don't know who to vote for. Why should I vote? None of that matters. So we're going to break this discussion up in 2 parts. We're going to first define what is an informed voter. And then we're going to talk about how does a voter become informed. So we're going to start with you, Nathan. What is your definition of an informed voter? What does that mean to you?
I would say that being an informed voter is much more than memorizing how a bill becomes a law, but it's having the tools to question power, to interpret media, and see yourself as a political actor now, not some day in the future. I think when I talk about this, I like to call and really just affirm that everyone is a political activist. I think being an informed voter comes from an understanding of your power in society. Some of the things you mentioned about how people have a sort of apathy around their power as an individual, being an informed voter starts with recognizing that power and using that to learn, using that to seek knowledge, not just about candidates, but about policies, and not just about policies, but about the interests and positions behind them. So I think obviously there's a lot around being an informed voter. That's why we have this beautiful event. But I think it starts with recognizing the power that you have as an individual and the power your influence has.
Okay. All right, Danielle, I'm going to go to you. So, Danielle, you're in a very unique position because you remember being a student, right?
Yeah.
You remember trying to galvanize young people and telling them about the importance of being engaged. What does being an informed citizen to you mean? And how would you define an informed citizen to a college student? How would you tell them this is what an informed citizen means? What would you say?
Yeah, so I think I'll speak directly to my time as a young organizer back when I was the NAACP student chapter president of the Stockton University and ACP chapter, and talk about what it really looked like organizing students to become informed voters and mobilize voters in the upcoming elections. And that would really look like talking to the students on a personal level from youth to youth. This is what's at stake. This is what's on the ballot. And this is why it's important for us to exercise our right to vote. Because to me, being an informed voter, it's someone who makes their voting decisions based on knowledge, critical thinking, and understanding of how their choices affect not only their communities, but the society as a whole. So, what that looked like from the day to day, even in the organizing work that I do now, is really speaking to our constituents and to our community members about what is on the ballot, how important that is on the ballot, and how many of the issues that they are deeming important to them are on the ballot, and how that which way depending on a policy being put forward or an elected official being put forward, how that would persuade the way that the things that they deem are important will affect the overall outcome. So it's really about just being knowledgeable about what are the critical issues at stake overall, and doing your research, doing the deep dive that's not just surface level research on what exactly the issues are, and how being an informed voter will allow you to make an informed vote.
You know what I heard from what you said, and I thought it was very interesting. And then I'm going to go to Dr. Angela. You said it's a responsibility of an informed citizen to inform others. I heard that from what you said. You were on college campus. You were an informed citizen as the president there of the Stockton NACP, and you felt that it was a responsibility for you as an informed citizen to inform others. And that's very interesting. Dr. Angela, what's your take on informed citizenship? You've held various political positions, and if you had to explain to someone the importance of being an informed citizen, how would you explain that?
Well, first, I would say everyone has to be a registered voter. because you can't be an informed voter if you're not registered and properly, because a lot of what happens is when you have to actually go vote, you have to make sure that your name is actually properly documented. But I would also say that we would also need to make sure that you know the candidates and you know the issues. And how do you do that? You may start with just someone who lives right next door to you. A lot of times we think it is trying to go to social media or finding other spaces or places to learn about how to be informed. But you can really find information within your home, on your corner store, to your neighbor, to someone who owns a business. But most importantly, figure out the group that you're around, see what issues you care about. And some of the work I did with young people, we used to go and actually create a youth issues agenda to see, well, what is important to various parts or people in the community so that we can be informed and make sure that alignment is with the people that we're voting for.
And you know what, Dr. Angela, you brought up a very good point, because I was thinking of how can I tie in voter registration to being an informed citizen? But being an informed citizen is knowing in the state of New Jersey, I can register to vote at 17. Being an informed citizen is saying, hey, in Newark, I can register at 16 for school board elections.
Exactly.
Being an informed citizen is saying in the state of New Jersey, October 14th is the last day to register to vote. And you brought it home.
Say it again, October 14th, last day to register.
Absolutely. October 14th is the last day to register to vote in the state of New Jersey. But
For this upcoming election.
what I want to hone in is that is part of being an informed citizen. We didn't get to the vote yet because a lot of people aren't registered because they're not informed.
That's right.
I was arrested. I don't think I can register. I went to the polling location. They said my name wasn't on the record. I walked away.
That's
I
right.
like the way you tied that in. That was very important. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Angela. And don't worry, we're gonna get to all the tools we need to become an informed citizen. We're defining it first, and then we're gonna get to these tools. Okay, Hennel, hit us with it. Hennel has a definition. I'm sure she says this every day of her life. So, Hennel, you're out in the community every day that you're not on vacation. As a member of the esteemed New Jersey Institute of Social Justice that the NAACP and other organizations are proud to call a partner. Now, you're dealing with not just individuals, but you're dealing with organizations as well to try to get the word out to the community. Hannah, how would you define, now I'm going to give you a little twist. How would you define informed citizen, and how do you impress upon organizations, and that may be a nonprofit or a corporation, the importance of making sure people understand what an informed citizen is?
Thank you so much, Aisha, Aziz, and I'm so grateful once again to my fellow panelists, but also everyone who showed up today. And I think that goes to the definition of informed citizenship. You guys are here, you get it. Everyone who is spending Monday night with us, it's not easy. I have been thinking a lot about this question. What is informed citizenship since I was asked to be on this panel, since we chatted about it, and not just what it means, how I would answer a year ago or 2 years ago, but really how I'm answering or thinking about this question today in September 2025. And I hope that all of you are assessing that as well and thinking about what it means to be an informed citizen today in this state, this country that we're living in, this moment in history that we're living in. And I'm going to take a second and kind of circle back to how we started with Jesse's tremendous poem. But I think the reason why it resonated with so many of us, and I see that from the chat, is that it speaks to where we are today. And so as an informed citizen, I'm so glad my fellow panelists, Nate and Danielle, Dr. Angeles, talked about the importance of being a registered voter, of voting, of participation, because those are key, they're foundational. But the reality is it's not enough. I think it's important. Every single person, anyone who doesn't think the vote matters, They're sadly just not, they don't know. They're either too apathetic or too misinformed or just too cynical at this moment, and it's completely understandable, and it's on us to explain why it is still important, because the folks who don't want us to vote are trying their hardest to suppress their vote. All of our rights are being chipped away, and they wouldn't do it if our vote wasn't important. They wouldn't do it if the vote wasn't powerful, and it is. But also the reality is, in this moment, voting isn't enough for citizenship. We are not in a space today that if you want to be a true informed citizen, you could just check in and go just to the ballot box. It behooves us all to and I say this not lightly, it is so difficult to keep any sense of mental health and clarity while being tuned in every single day. But it is important for us to be tuned in to see what is at stake. To see what is at stake in a time of rising authoritarianism and fascism in this country. The Institute is nonpartisan, so many of us are nonpartisan, and yet facts are facts, and it's important to call a spade, as they say. And we are in that moment. We are in a moment that people are being dragged off the streets. Our neighbors, family members are being taken out by folks in masks, masks off, masked, armed people. We are in a moment where they are eroding the Department of Education, our environmental protections, things that matter to our day-to-day lives to be able to live happily, safely. We are in a moment right now that our most fundamental rights are at risk, and from free speech to our voting rights to any number of things, our right to choose what happens to our own bodies. And it is important for us to pay attention. And here's the other part. It is important for us to hold people accountable. Every single elected official, if they represent you, they work for you. And that feels so removed and difficult, but it is on them, and it is on us to be loud. It is on us to hold them accountable. It is all on us to say something. So to Maisha's question, what we talk about with our partners is often the same thing I talk about with anyone who asks me this. Go speak up. Say what's important to you. Hold every single elected official accountable. And if they're not doing their job, go find someone else. Go find someone to run. It is so difficult, and it feels so consuming to want to participate. But it is in a moment like this that is more important than ever that those of us who care actually stand up for democracy in this moment. And what is democracy? The ability to participate, to have a voice, to have a say in how we are governed. And if we don't, we are seeing them erase our history. Our team is going down to DC this week to go to the African American History Museum before they, I don't know, tear it down and paint everything over. We are in a tough moment. We're living it. We're watching it. If you've studied history and you wonder, I wonder how everyday people, what they were doing while all of this was happening, this is where we are right now. So as to be an informed citizen, pay attention and be loud. As loud as you have the privilege of being, because so many of our neighbors don't have the privilege to do that. If you have been incarcerated in the past, if you are not a citizen, if you have any sort of risk, it is much harder to speak up. If you have the privilege to speak. It is a responsibility. So I will stop here and turn it back to Maisha before we go to other topics.
No, thank you for that. These are my takeaways from what you said. Most importantly, you talked about our mental health, right? We're waking up. I wake up to, and my Echo asked me, did I want to wake up to the news? So now NPR is like, and this is who died today, and this is the war. So that's what I'm waking up to, right? So that cannot be your every waking moment. We're not saying that you have to be like so emerged, like think of yourself in water in a pool, and the water is the news and what's going on in earth that you're drowning. It's okay to watch a funny cat. Climb a curtain and do whatever the cat video.
But if anything, it's important to watch
It's
a funny
important.
cat. You gotta find some balance. You gotta find some joy. Joy is also
Listen.
resistance.
It's important. It's important. And look, there's legislation about joy too. So to talk about that. But the other thing I got from you is being an informed citizen means knowing when your vote is being suppressed. So Hannah, a lot of people, I had somebody just ask me, and if you could clarify this, if I've been arrested, can I register to vote, Hannah?
Absolutely. In New Jersey, you can. I'll go further. If you've just
Thank
been
you.
arrested, you do not lose the right to vote in New Jersey. If you were anything but incarcerated for an indictable offense, which is the equivalent of a felony, currently incarcerated for a felony, you have the right to vote in New Jersey. If you are on parole, if you are on probation, if you are sitting in a county jail, and I imagine, unfortunately, that you are not you are not here with us on Zoom at this county jail, but maybe you know someone who is. You have the right to vote, and you should make sure they use that right. It's incredibly important, as Maisha says, as we are in a moment of voter suppression, the Voting Rights Act, the foundation of modern democracy as we know it in this country, is constantly under attack right now. And we cannot rely on this incredibly radical Supreme Court of the United States to uphold these rights. So we'll get to it a little bit, but it is, it is on us to have state laws to protect it. And there's a bunch of campaigns, including one for a New Jersey Voting Rights Act that you should participate in. Again, we'll get to it. But the right to vote, that if you're on parole and probation, it's something we worked on. The Institute, with so many of our partners, worked on to restore those rights. We did it a few years ago. It was huge, and you have the right to do that, and you should register just like everyone else. There's no special registration process. I think they put registration links on the chat. Register by, as Dr. Angela said, by October 14th.
All right. Thank you, Hannah. I heard from you keeping our elected officials accountable, and that you recommend that organizations who are gathered for a purpose speak up just as you would recommend an individual. All right, Danielle, we've talked about, Hannah brought us into voter registration, so did Dr. Angela. We are now going to go into the tools. So we had a speaker. We did a voter registration marathon last week, NAACP, and my chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. And we had the most wonderful Nushat Chowdhury from the New Jersey Institute of Social Justice talking about how our votes are being purged. So the messaging, Danielle, and please confirm this, that we're sending out is not only register to vote, but check your status. And the NAACP has a QR code, there's a tool, but a lot of people don't know, Danielle, that you can register to vote online. Can you talk about registering to vote online and how people can check their voter registration status? Danielle?
Yeah, of course. So, as Mrs. Eves mentioned, here at the NAACP New Jersey State Conference, we have a QR code that makes voter registration very simple and very easy. This QR code is in complication with our Move New Jersey packet that we have, our Move New Jersey toolkit that allows everyone to seamlessly register to vote, check their voter registration status. Once you were to scan this QR code, it'll bring you up to this Google form. You'll fill out the Google form so that way we can gather some information on you and be able to contact you later just about continuing to be engaged as a mobilized voter. Then once you're done that, it'll bring you to the voter registration page, which is within the NAACP New Jersey State Conference, as well as right on the New Jersey state website. And you'll be able to fill out your voter registration. On that same website, you can check your voter registration status. So I'll link these links in the chat for you all. So that way, we want to encourage you all to reach out to 10, 15 people that you aren't sure that are confirmed that they are registered to vote, or that you aren't sure if they have been engaged in voting in the past elections, and help them register to vote. It's very simple, it's online, and they also can check their voter registration status with this tool as well.
So when they're checking their voter registration status, you said the form takes you to a link that everybody in New Jersey should know. We should all have bookmarked the New Jersey Division of Elections website. That should be your favorite website right next to your favorite clothing store, your favorite social media app. When you click on Am I Registered, you're going to make sure your status says active. This is what we discussed with Ms. Chowdhury from the Institute. It has to say active. It says inactive, you need to register again or contact your county clerk. All right, Nathan, let's go to you. We have so we're still talking about the voter registration, because we're saying, and being an informed citizen, you have to be registered to vote. You have to know that you can register to vote electronically. You have to know that you can check your status. Why would you tell a 17-year-old, because we have some young people here, or we have some older people who have young people in their house, what is the language that you think is important to convey to teenagers on the importance of registering? We didn't get to the tools yet, the importance of registering to vote.
Yeah, so strictly on the importance of registering to vote, I think demystifying politics is very important for young people, right? And so making sure that we frame registering to vote before we even get to voting as something that is a responsibility for them, as something that they should aspire to get done, to get over with, as a prerequisite for participating in society, in the same way that them getting their first driver's license is, in the same way that them getting a state ID is, in the same way that them trying to get their first job. Like, there are so many other things that young people are motivated to get, so many other pieces of paperwork that young people are already motivated to get, either because it brings maybe having a car, being able to drive, or being able to earn money and things of that nature. And so the first thing I do when I speak to students is I liken it unto those things. And then I also show them the benefits that would come from registering to vote, in the same way that there are benefits from doing those other things that are a part of matriculating into society. And those benefits are, when you're registering to vote, right? Before you even get to actually showing up to the polls, as you are registering, right? One, you're learning how to use some of these systems, right? That a lot of people already don't know how to use, right? It's important to know how to fill out these documents. It's important to know some of these information. Sometimes when I'm in classrooms with students teaching about voter registration, a lot of them don't know some of the information that they need to know for so many other things. They don't know their social security number. They don't know some certain statuses, some things they have to go and ask their parents. And it's very important for them to know these things. So that's one. And a lot of these things, yes, they tend to come into effect once the student is actually voting, once the student is a little bit more participating in their government. But when it comes to registration, to reiterate, I would say liken it unto the other things that they're already motivated to do. Liken it unto the other things.
So let me interject right there.
Yeah.
Pretend I am Maisha and I am a 17-year-old high school student. Because you said it, you hit it on the nose, liken it unto other things. You said demystify it. I wrote this all down. You talked about first job. So break it down to me. Demystify it for me, Nathan. So in New Jersey, we are voting for governor and for every single seat in the assembly.
Right.
How does that have an immediate, this is 17-year-old Maisha. How does that have an impact on me, Nathan? What is the direct link? And talk about it, because you brought it up. You said your first job, you said making money. What are you telling me, 17-year-old Maisha? How does that relate to me? Demystify it for me.
Right. So All right, so 17-year-old Maisha, you told me that I know you're getting to that maybe what junior year, beginning of senior year, time in high school. I know that you already did your driver's ed. You're looking for a car, right? You also want your first job, right? You're looking for your first job. You're filling out your working papers and all of that, right? When you work that first job that you're gonna start paying taxes, right? Well, those taxes that you're paying out of your paycheck, right? Whether you realize it or not, that money is going somewhere, right? The reason we have one of the biggest reasons we vote is because we want to have a say in where that money goes. And I know that it doesn't matter where the money came from. If you get some money and I say, hey, you got to give me some of that, you're going to want to know why. You're going to want to know where that money's going. But hold on to that. You want to you also want to start getting your first job, and you're trying to look for a job somewhere that's going to hire a 17-year-old, right? Most places that are going to hire a 17-year-old without much previous experience, they're going to pay you minimum wage. And minimum wage has changed in the last decade or so. Not everywhere, but specifically in New Jersey, it has, at both city levels and also at the state level. So there are people that we're voting for that are going to change, hopefully, are going to continue to change the minimum wage as time goes on. So for you, that's trying to get into this first job of yours, you know that you're probably going to earn minimum wage. You might want to have a say in what that minimum wage is, right? Even for your siblings and younger peers that are coming up behind you, you want them to have a better situation when they're getting their first job as well, right? And there's a lot more that I could go into. Some of the laws around how you can work, what times you can work, some of the things that help you get to and from school or to and from work. So maybe public transportation, if that's easier, because you don't have that car yet, right? But as you get that car, some of the things that make it easier for you to get a car, make it easier for your parents to help you buy a car, make it easier for, as you're 17, you're about to graduate high school. I know, if you have some older siblings, they might tell you how annoying it is. As soon as they turn 18, there's a lot of credit card mail that starts hitting their mailbox, right? And there's a lot of policies and things around that to make sure you're not losing all your money. There's a lot of very mystifying things about adulthood that are coming very soon, right? The gist of what I'm saying to you, 17-year-old Maisha, is some of these things you're already thinking about. Even if you just focus on those things you're already thinking about, I want you to have a say in how those things are going to affect you, because I know that you want them to affect you positively. And that's what voting is. And it starts with registering to vote.
Thank you so much. And just so you know, I look the same as I did in 17. But you hit it right on the nose. I'm a little bit more rudimentary than that. When I talk to the 16-year-old, 17-year-olds, I go, do you like your school lunch? And they go, no. I go, well, you know who decides that menu. You know who hired the person who decided that menu. And then the person who hired that, your school board, your principal, your superintendent. But you hit it right on the nose. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Angela, we're going to talk to you. So now we're registered. We've convinced everybody why they should be registered. All ages, we're there. Now, informed citizen. As someone who was a county commissioner, as someone who has been in spaces where you're listening to people or making decisions, what would you recommend to citizens to become informed that does not necessarily include the computer or their phone?
I would say every single resident should go to their municipal clerk and pull a council meeting, pull a ordinance, or pull some of the governing documents of how your particular municipality runs. So in New Jersey, there was a lot of debate on how many municipalities that exist. And there's so many, there's cities, there's towns, there's boroughs. It doesn't matter. It matters, where do you lay your head and where do the people that make decisions for you. So I loved hearing why it matters for different ages. But when we actually go into number one, start by pulling information, and then everyone is eligible to Oprah information that you don't understand. The information, I believe we said earlier, and thank you, Madam Moderator, you said that the elected officials work for those who vote for us, and that is true. So it is so critical that if there is a decision you do not understand, you don't like, you can go get the information about how that decision was made. So my top advice would be to go into your clerk's office, in every single town, city, borough has one, and learn the rules of your neighborhood. How does it operate? And I think that is a phenomenal starting point. And if we start there, there's so many other things that can unfold from there. And when you go there, make sure you also get a list of who are your elected officials, who is your mayor, who are your council people, who are your county committee people, who are your local level elected officials. There's 3 top people you should always know. Who are the local level, so who represents you in your neighborhoods, who represents you on the council side, and who is your mayor. There's more than one representative that represents you. And when you start to understand those folks, you'll be able to move a lot of things that are important to you, to us, to really impact our communities. But it's really, the information is right around the corner from us.
So one thing that I came away from what you said, first, Oprah, for those of us, is the Open Public Records Act.
Yes.
So you can go to your town and you can ask for a lot of things. So
all the records.
Right. Now, list of meetings. Dr. Angela, whew, that is so important. List of meetings.
Yes.
I was at a street festival the other day. My young person in our youth council, he said, Miss Maisha, I want to go to City Hall. I want to do a youth takeover. There's the mayor, get him. So I had to pull the mayor.
I love it.
And I said, now tell him what you told me.
That's right.
And he told him. And now we're going to have a youth council, NAACP youth takeover of this city. We're going to go to the meeting. Right. So let's go back to your list of meetings. People should go to the meetings. Isn't that what you're encouraging us to do?
Yes, I am charging our illustrious group of folks here that it's not just about being a spectator sport. You have to be able to be an active participant. We want to see the folks in the meetings. Many times, a lot of meetings are empty, or you have the same folks who are always there. But if you show up, you can say something and you can talk about things that are important that don't seem right. If it doesn't seem right, it probably isn't right. But we're not going to know if we don't have a standing room only. When the meetings happen, make sure you not only get the times that the meetings happen, but they could also be virtual. So it is important to not be someone who is a passive participant, but go in and sit and listen and learn, whether it's on a school board level, whether it's on a council level, whether it's on a county level. And we can even go as far as to say, you can also see what's going on a state level, but all things are local. So start at home. We have a home rule state. That's what they tell us. So if we have a home rule state, we need to make sure that we're not running from that home rule, but we're right within it, so that we can be a part of the rules that are being made about us.
That's right. And you can go in. Now let's pretend I'm letting you back on the computer. So now if you get back on the computer, you can go to your website.
Okay.
Right. You can go on your town's website. They have the list of the meetings. Every county, most county commissioners have a town hall. There's some venue for everyone, and it's free, right, Dr. Angela?
It's free. Absolutely free.
No RSVP needed.
No RSVP, just show up. And in addition to going online, I would also say, figure out what boards or commissions are available. Every single town, every single county, there are available volunteer opportunities. And there's a lot of talk about, how do you volunteer? How do you get involved? How do you make your voice heard? Figure out what's available. So there's a lot of opportunities. So when you do that research online, don't just look at all the pictures, but look at, where's the information about how I can have a role in this community that you are a part of. If you live there, you are contributing to the overall budget. how things get spent. And very much like I was very impressed by what you shared about how to connect with young people. And if we have more young people who could speak up and say those types of community engaged types of activities, it would be a game changer.
I like that. Eligibility, look to see what is available, and that's for every age.
Yes, it is.
Most school boards have a school liaison.
Yes, it does.
A high school liaison. Most city or township, they have a citizens advisory board, a multicultural committee. You know, there are all of these things where you don't have to necessarily have to run, because that could be scary for somebody. Just request, I'd like to be on the 4th of July committee.
That's right. Or create it.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or create it.
Absolutely. All right. That was a perfect segue to go to Danielle and Hennel. All right. So Dr. Angela said, Danielle and Hennel, go to the meetings. She said, go to your council meeting, your school board meeting, your zoning meeting, your planning board meeting. Find out where they are, go to them. So we're on a local level, right? We can also go to our state assembly committee hearings, Senate hearings. And Danielle, even though she has transitioned to the adult branch of NAACP, when she was in the youth and college, not only did she participate and testify in front of many hearings, it wasn't her alone. Many members of the NAACP Youth and College and other organizations, they came, they showed up, and they showed out, and they testified about certain bills. Now, Danielle, there's a lot going on in the news lately. And today, there was a specific infographic, we're not going to say what it's about who voted for what today. Every single person, what the name of the bill was, who they voted for, what they voted, yay, nay, present, or no vote. Danielle, is there a way for us, because now we're registered, for a citizen to track a bill? Let's say there's a new bill coming out banning cell phone use in the whole state of New Jersey from K to 12. How would we find information about that bill when the committee hearings are discussing that bill, who's sponsoring that bill, and when the bill's over, who voted for it? What a tool can we use for that, Danielle?
Well, you're in luck because the NAACP New Jersey State Conference has a tool just for that. I just linked it in the chat for everyone to take a look at it. It is our New Jersey State Conference bill track. On this bill track, you will be able to find our priorities. You'll be able to find bills that we're advocating for, as well as bills that we're advocating against. And as our lovely moderator says, you can also track the sponsors of the bill. You can track the movement of the bill. You can track bill highlights. You can track the actual PDF bill language and see exactly what the bill says. And you can even go as far as tracking who voted which way for the bill as well. So this is the bill. It's a tool that we have at the NAACP New Jersey State Conference that we utilize. Our branches utilize it across the state that help us stay informed about what bills that are most important to our communities and how we can contact our legislators. This bill track also has right at the very top a little noggle that says click here to find your legislators. So you can click that, find out exactly who your legislators are, what district you are in, and what district your legislators are representing. And it's really important to know that because when you have these issues, as Dr. Garrison talked about, you want to know who to call on. So when you click on this tool, you'll be able to find the exact phone number, the address, the email of that legislator, so you can contact them when issues arise that are important to you. And something else that our lovely moderator said that I wanted to elaborate on a little bit is testimonies in the New Jersey State Conference at the New Jersey State House. Testifying is another way to make sure that your voice is heard. It allows you to tell your personal story about how the bill is affecting you. And actually play a role in the process, right? You get to actually explain how this bill would benefit your life or explain how this bill would not be beneficial to your life and actually talk directly to the entire committee that's hearing the bill, the entire group of legislators that's making up the committee that are hearing the bill at that time, and let them know your personal story about the bill. and how that's affecting you. Not only does that show your legislators that, one, you are informed about the bill, you know exactly what's going on, and you know how this bill will affect you, but two, that you're sitting there ready to hold them accountable. So definitely encourage everyone to check out that tool, to utilize it, and actually just continue to stay informed about the bills that are in the New Jersey state legislature that are affecting our communities.
And this is a great tool. Not that this is an NAACP commercial, it's not. But it just happens to be a great tool. But it does just take you to the New Jersey legislature. If you don't want to click on that tool, it's absolutely fine. Again, is whoever your favorite company is that you've bookmarked the New Jersey legislature website. Danielle said, "What district are you in?" I'm in the 6th legislative district. What district are you in? Do you know? So when you meet that person and they go, "I'm the representative from the 4th district." Oh, you're my representative. Let me come over and talk to you. Okay, that's important. Thank you for that, Danielle. Perfect segue to Hennel. All right, Hennel. The New Jersey Institute of Social Justice. I feel like I'm promoting both. Good news that we're both nonprofits. We're all nonprofits. So the New Jersey Institute is a wonderful organization where people can learn how to speak to their legislators. We had a perfect partnership with the New Jersey Institute, NAACP, Delta Sigma Theta, other organizations, where the Institute gave us a script. Insert here, insert here. It was wonderful. This is how you address your elected officials. Hannah, I want to talk to you about the importance of not just talking to your elected officials, because Danielle touched on that a little bit, saying, hey, you're able, and Dr. Angela, you're able to talk directly to the people that are making these decisions. Talk about the importance of, we're going back to informed citizen now. Just don't get to the mic. I don't like what you're doing coming in my community. I mean, I'm sure you don't, sir, ma'am, they, but why don't you like it? Talk about the importance of being informed to the point, Enel, that when you are giving this testimony, and don't forget, guys, if you are not able to show up, because some of us have to go to work, some of us are not blessed, to have full-time jobs where you're out fighting for the people, you can submit your testimony or your opinion in writing as well. So talk about, Hannah, and if you could just tie this up and bring us home. Again, informed citizens. Why is it important before you go to a committee hearing, before you go to your council hearing? Because I've been with you at both, Hannah. I've been with you at a legislative hearing when we talked about redistricting and other things and student loans. And then we've been at city council when we talked about vote 16. Why is it important to be informed when you're going to speak to your legislator or submit your concern? Hannah?
I love this question. So I'm actually going to answer this question along with, there's a question in the Q&A, and I know we're going to do Q&A later, but I read it and I thought it was so important. So Jennifer asked the question about, people, they voted in the past, but they feel like nothing changes for them, that they're not seen, heard, or valued, and their issues aren't addressed. So how do you encourage them to participate in a system that lets them down? And I hear you. I hear you. It is a question I get all the time. It's frankly something I feel from time to time, that you vote, you try, but no one's listening. You're using your voice. And you can't make someone magically not feel that way. As I said at the beginning, informed citizenship, the foundational thing is the right to vote. They wouldn't be trying to take it away so much if it wasn't important to vote. Always, always make sure you share that, say that. But the other thing is, I've found that you should give people tools to participate that go beyond voting. If people are feeling like they're not being heard, that their issues aren't being addressed, give them ways to participate in that beyond voting. Yes, vote. But hey, what do you care about? What do you care about that matters to you? Maisha mentioned some of the things that the Institute has worked on with the NAACP Youth in College. These are young people. And I remember a few years ago, we were doing redistricting, a very wonky issue. And we had young people really engaged in it. I remember there was a where was it? Chesterfield, was it, Maisha? Where a principal just made an announcement, say, "Hey, let me know if anybody actually wants to do this." And a student came up and said, "Ah, that sounds cool. Let's do this." A high school student. And we had young people engaging and participating because they actually do care. If you give people opportunities, people do participate. You can't, the biggest thing about democracy, and I say this generally, and it goes to your question, Maisha, a little bit, is sometimes those of us here, I say here broadly, this is those of us on the panel, but also those of us in the audience, all of us here who decide to spend our Monday night in a late September on a webinar about informed citizenship, whether Professor Aziz invited you or not, those of us here who tend to be hyper aware, who follow the news, who actually do check our voter registration, who, when we move, we always update our registration, the thing that most people don't do. I feel that sometimes we have a belief that in democracy, we should get everyone else as informed as we are. We should bring everyone else to as much civics education is to get everybody else to where we are. I always say this, I think that's a fundamental. I view democracy differently. I think it's not so much about bringing everyone to our knowledge level, it's about bringing democracy to where people are, where most people are. And you can do that. Nathan mentioned talking to young people, the things they already care about. It's not about going, hey, here's what you should care about. It's saying how everything you care about is already all of this is affecting that already. So engage in that way. So to the question, giving people tools. What do you care about? People care about so many things. People care about the environment. People care about criminal justice. People care about voting. People care about economic issues. The economy isn't doing that great. It is very expensive to live in New Jersey. Housing, home ownership. We have one of the worst racial wealth gaps in the country. In New Jersey, the black to white racial wealth gap is $640,000. $640,000 gap between black and Latino families and white families. That number actually doubled in the last few years. This is all we have a report on it. My colleague, my phenomenal colleague, Dr. Laura Sullivan, does this research. This is this year's numbers. People care. That matters. It matters. That determines if you can buy a car, if you can buy a home, if you can pay your student loans. People care. That is your day to day. So you need to give them tools. Danielle shared a bill tracker. Those are things that NAACP is working on doing. The Institute has a number of policies. We have a link, njisj.org. You could look at the issues we're working on. There are campaigns. Any number of things. I mentioned earlier the New Jersey Voting Rights Act campaign. Maisha alluded to Vote 16. You care, and if you have a young person, 16, 17, tell them about Vote 16. There is an effort to lower the voting age for school board elections, the elections that matter the most to them, that affect them the most. So to Maisha's question, well, it's not just about caring. If you're going to participate, as you should, how should you participate? You got to know the facts. And because nobody wants to do anything. The people in power often just want to cruise. Some are fabulous and really go in wanting to make a difference. Other people just like, winning and sitting around. So when you tell them, hey, I need this, this, and this done, they're gonna be like, but why? Do I have to? The only way to convince them is to do it with some facts. So you can do your homework, you can participate in a campaign. We have a bunch of resources for things. We have talking points, we have one-pagers, we have ways where you can just click on a link and email your members of the legislature. Folks have it from members of Congress, what have you. If you're curious about some stuff, we have a number of reports. Here's some reports we published. This is our Vote 16 one. We have one on the BRA. You can learn about it. And why? Because when you talk to someone, you should go, hey, but did you know? Did you know this is happening? There are citations. We have footnotes. We have links. It makes a difference. You convince people when you know what you're talking about. If you ever go testify, sometimes I'll ask you a question. If you know the answer, they're gonna go okay. They might not agree, they might not vote, but they're gonna go okay. They smell weakness, they hunt. So we got to make sure we're prepared. And you could do that if you engage in campaigns that already exist, whether it's the Institute, whether it's any number of our partners. That's why you reach out to some of the organizations who are lucky. We do have the privilege to be able to do this, get paid to do this day to day, to fight for the people. And we do that by providing resources and materials that all of you can use, tools you can use to engage those who represent you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. And I will give, we have our final remark time, but if you'd like to wrap some of your final remarks on some action items that we say in NW, action items for our participants to do. And if you want to tie that in an action item to the question that Jennifer asked, how do we encourage people who consistently feel like they're being let down by their elected officials to participate in the system? You can tie that in, or just give us your final remarks on how we can be active. How can we be an informed citizen? And for our action items, I believe people are ready with their pen and paper like me, or they are using their notes on their iPhone. I'm not sure. But we're going to go to Dr. Angela. All right, Dr. Angela, let's hear your final words.
Well, thank you. Thank you for this amazing conversation. Hearing such passionate responses, but just kind of the direction of this call today, it made me think, and it actually made me think of new call to action for everybody on the call. As a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I thought about my chapter. I also thought about the fact that as an elected official, one of the things I did not too long ago was I was in a graduate institute. I participated at several different chapters, and I learned the rules of the games in different places. But a lot of times with elected officials, we don't know what they do or how they do it. We know we have a lot of resources. Some townships, some cities don't make a lot of money. So we have a lot of big expectations from a lot of the elected officials who are out there representing, and some we don't know what they're doing. I would encourage everyone, whether it's an organization like NAACP, whether it's one of the organizations that's represented here, NJPAC, even New Jersey Institute of Social Justice, or elected officials within your own municipality, because all politics, all civic engagement is truly local. Interview someone who's in leadership. Go and find out. And don't stop there, but maybe go and find another person to interview and ask them what is their role, what are their jobs, what are issues that they cared about, and see if there's any alignment that you may have. I think a lot of what we don't do is we always assume what people are doing or not doing, but we don't realize these amazing tools we're hearing today. What if we are able to share those tools and bring those back to the communities that we represent? I think it's a win-win for all. I think it would be an amazing takeaway for anyone on this call today. But go and engage or interview someone that you may think is in a position of leadership, that whether your organization, whether the municipality you live in, or someone doing the work that you believe in. And that would be my takeaway and my charge to everyone on the call tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Angela. I see that you made sure that you told everyone that you love salmon pink and apple green. I'm sure now Danielle will mention that as well. It's okay. It's all right. Okay.
I love all D9.
Yeah.
So I had to bring it to full circle because I appreciate it. I appreciate
it's fine. All right, Danielle. What are our takeaway? What are our action items? In fact, I think I got that from Danielle. Danielle likes what are our action items? All right, Danielle. Give all the participants their action items, and you have, 22 seconds. Let's go. You have more, but I love to say that. Go ahead.
Well, since on the subject of salmon pink and apple green, I don't think I would have 22 seconds, but that's neither here nor there. Yes, on a serious note, I have 6 takeaways. One, stay engaged with reliable news and information. There was various tools that were given tonight, the NAACP New Jersey State Conference Bill Track being one of them. Use this tool to stay informed about bills and policies. 2, participate in your community. Participate in your community via town halls, organizations such as the NAACP. You can become a member of the NAACP via naacp.org. Get connected with your local branch that's in your community, and actually be amongst a group of freedom fighters who are all driven towards the same missions, which is of justice. 3, think critically. Don't just rely on social media, the shade room, other platforms that might not have the entire full story about what's going on in this world. Challenge yourself to think critically and go deeper about your thinking. 4, engage in democracy. Vote. We can register to vote, we can talk about voting all day long. What's going to matter is whether or not you actually cast your vote. So let's sit with that for a minute. 5, keep learning. This is a phenomenal opportunity for you to continue learning. There are many other opportunities such as this. Join the webinars, join the panel discussions to keep learning about the issues that are surrounding our communities at a state and local level. And number 6, last but not least, is the very most important thing. If you don't hear anything else I just said, please hear this. As I said before, I challenge each and every one of you to gather at least 15 people to become either register to vote and check their voter registration. You can do this using the Move New Jersey QR code that's on our website that we mentioned before. And it's also linked in the chat. And don't stop there. Once you connect with those 15 people and say, hey, are you registered to vote? Let's check your voter registration status. Come up with a plan. Say, hey, what's our plan to make sure that we get to the polls in November? What help do you need? What support do you need to get there to make sure that you're able to cast your vote and that your voice is heard in the upcoming election? And that's what I have.
Thank you, Danielle. All right, Nathan. What are your takeaways? What are the action items that you would like to give the participants? And I would like for you to tailor some of your action items to engaging and encouraging youth civic participation. Nathan?
Absolutely. First of all, to engage everyone, I want to say that as you all engage in politics, engage in your communities, make sure that you're pulling other people in with you. That's something that I took away from tonight that I learned from my fellow panelists, that you're not just bringing people to where you think you are, but bringing democracy to them. And when you're speaking to these people, I always say that silence is not neutral, right? That silence in politics is never just sitting out, but it's letting someone else make a decision for you, right? And when young people don't vote, all that's going to happen is older generations are going to fill the vacuum, and the policies will tilt towards their priorities. And that's why things like student debt relief struggle and things of that nature. Silence does not cancel anything out, but it only compounds the power of those who are already showing up. In a city like Newark, where only 8 to 10% of registered voters cast ballots in local elections, this is exacerbated. So we want to understand that silence is not neutral, it is surrender. To young people specifically, and to people who may not be as, big into politics, as people say, to people who may want to be involved, but feel as though in conversations about meeting with lawmakers and going to public meetings and things of that nature, they feel like they can't. Whether it's because of time constraints or things of that nature, voter suppression is real and participation suppression is real. Some of these meetings and things are scheduled in a way that prevents a lot of people from coming to them. That is a real thing as well. So it's important to bring. That's why I love that it was said that it's important to bring democracy to people. Make sure that you're using your vote. Make sure that you can leverage what you already do. Make sure that you are exercising your collective power. And I think especially for young people, exercising that collective power, right? Somebody in the chat said that we should be sitting with our legislators in a group. I think young people have shown time and time again in contemporary current events, but also throughout history, that when we show up in groups, that things change. When we show up in groups, the adults pay attention and they listen, right? And we show that when we show that we actually care, things will move forward. So I think for young people, make sure that we're continuing to have conversations as a collective. For all people, make sure that we're realizing that our silence is never neutral, but it is a choice. But we are here on this call to encourage everyone to make the choice to register, to vote, and to participate in their democracy.
Thank you, Nathan. You might see that on a t-shirt. Silence is not neutral. Danielle and I were just talking about it, and some of my peers about people who vote present or no vote. Silence is not neutral. Hannah, we are at the complete end. Did you want to bring it home, or do you feel like you've said enough? What would you like to say before I wrap it all up and bring it back to Donna?
I just want to echo my fellow panelists. I think everything they said is accurate. It is so important to be informed right now. I'm going to mention, I put some links there. In addition to the NAACP Bill Tracker, you can come to the Institute website. We have action items you can take, but we also have voter information. I want to say to go to a couple of the points mentioned. One, verify your registration, make sure you're active, make sure it's accurate, et cetera, et cetera. But this is one quick thing you could send to everybody. Send a group chat to people you know and be like, hey, did you check your voter registration? Next 3 weeks, 22 days for the voter registration. 2, do stay informed. It's tough. Give yourself joy. Joy is also resistance. I'm going to come back to that. Find ways, whatever makes you happy, just do it. Every single day, do it as much as you can, a little bit. You can knit, you can go on walks, you can do whatever you need to do, watch cat videos, but take a moment to do that. But then plug back in and make sure you know what's going on. To Danielle's point, critical thinking of what you're reading, what you're assessing, and be a resource to everyone around you for that as well. To what I was saying earlier, to Nathan's point, bring democracy to others. Give people tools and options, talk to them about what they care about, and then plug them in. We have so many options here in New Jersey on for advocacy, for things that matter. You can do that. And I just wanted to close this off by kind of talking about the stakes here, like I started. We are in a challenging moment in our history. One our ancestors have been in, but one we're not necessarily used to. There was a few months ago, there was a program at NJPAC that I keep coming back to. Sherilyn Ifill came, some of you may have been there, and she spoke and talked about Sherilyn Ifill, the great civil rights lawyer. She used to be the head of LDF. And she said, one of the things that we don't recognize often is that so many of our ancestors really they did so much sewing. They built a world for us. They shed blood and tears to build this world. And we've just been reaping. We are not used to the fight because for a couple of generations now, we've been reaping what they sowed for us. But we're in a different moment now. Now we have a sword to defend those rights. We need a sword to defend the rights we've been holding dear, but we also need to do some of our own sewing. We need to dream of a vision. We need to have a vision for the future. Dream of something better for ourselves, for our neighbors, for our families. Dream of what we need this country to be for us. So for that, we did a huge assessment this year. We put out a reparations report. You should read it. njreparationscouncil.org. Please go look. But it was titled For Such a Time as This. And why? Because it is now more than ever a time to talk and to dream of something better. So take that and think about it as we think about this moment and how much we're always despairing. It's also an opportunity to build and to hold people accountable and to build something better, to dream of something better, and to talk to people, talk to our communities to get there. And remember that there's an election. The states matter. If we're worried about the federal government, the state matters. Our powers here, the way our country is set up, the powers that our state has is incredibly important. And we have a gubernatorial election in weeks. Every seat in the state assembly is up in weeks. We have a lot of local seats up. These matter. Our rights matter, so go vote, but also think about what we need, what we want to envision for ourselves and our families and our friends. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. I hope that all of you enjoyed this panel and discussion as I have. We're now going to close this out with my thoughts about today's panel. I thought it was informative. I thought it made an impact. So I'm going to say this to all of you. Let's make sure we are all informed citizens. And if you think that task is daunting, think of Ida B. Wells, who traveled across this country documenting lynchings, not just to expose injustice, but to demand accountability. Her courage turned truth into activism and journalism into resistance. That's the legacy we inherit, and that's the standard we uphold. Make sure that you know the takeaways, know your elected official, track bills and pending laws, rely on credible sources, and engage in politics locally. My name is Maisha Aziz, and it's been a pleasure. Oh, yes.
Can I just say one last thing to do it because it is Maisha? One last way to do this is to join. I mean, the Institute, we are not a membership org. You could just come and look at our information, but go join the NAACP. If you're a young person, go join the NAACP Youth in College. Go join the League of Women Voters of New Jersey. That's Jesse Burns' org. I'm on the board. Join and participate. That is the best way to be an informed citizen. Go ahead. And because Joy, one of the Divine Nine sororities, Maisha is active in basically all of these organizations.
But I'm glad you said that, because Elise Bryant brought up a comment and she said we are good together. And to go to these meetings and these hearings as a group. As you know, the Institute has helped us out with D9 days in the Capitol, Delta days in the Capitol. But when we get there, on the State House, because I go to DC too. But when we go to Trenton, we see all these other orgs there, veterans and, mothers or parents of children with disabilities. We are great together. Okay, Donna, I think I'm done. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Amazing. This is, as I said, our 5th year of Standing on Solidarity. And every single year we begin in September with the discussion about voting and the importance of it and what it means. This was an incredible discussion that only was so incredible because of each one of you. I really, really thank you on behalf of NJPAC for sharing your incredible knowledge, expertise, action steps, passion. And I have to point out to our youth who are on this panel, thank you for your courage. Thank you for leading the way and with such confidence. Also, I am completely blown away. Thank you very, very much. Thank you to our audience who tuned in to learn more about how you can be an informed citizen. And of course, I invite all of you to join us next month. These are monthly dialogues. Next month, our topic is immigration and identity. In celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, we're going to take a close look at our Hispanic community and the impact of multi-generational immigration and how they are now working within their communities. How are they living with their families? How does politics, social, and economic challenges impact how they develop their cultural identity, hold on to that, and how the neighborhoods, particularly like in Ironbound, can sustain that. And so it's going to be a really vibrant discussion. We will have a poet to begin to open the program. And the date is October 20th at 7 p.m. And it again will be virtual. We also have some in-person events, live things that are happening in the community. We have our Jazz in the Streets with Mark Gross on September 25th. We have the performance at NJPAC with Raphael Sadiq, October 2nd, Shane Wang, October 5th. And of course, the big James Moody Festival. That's our big jazz festival we have every year. And that runs from November 8th to the 23rd. We also encourage everyone, just as we talked about becoming a member of the NAACP and the sororities and all the other civic organizations, we encourage you to become a member of NJPAC as well. And that will support our arts education program so that we can continue to make sure that our youth are in the space of arts and culture. So thank you so much for everyone. Thank you, panel. You're fantastic. Maisha, as the kids say, Thank you. You were fierce. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.